following show is being broadcasted from an undisclosed location. Two former special operators have combined their badassery and now sharing it with the world.
They ain't alive no more.
All with a beer and a smile. This is the Savage Actual Podcast. And now your hosts, combat vets with 20-plus deployments between the two of them and enough testosterone to operate the power grid of Los Angeles. Savage Actual. Now your hosts, Jason and Patrick.
This Ricky's neck, and it went into Derek Herrera's back. So Derek got paralyzed. He's still paralyzed to this day. Rick took a round through his neck. His name's Ricky Breer. Great guy. And I would call him Frankenbreer after that because he had two bolt size, scar tissue on his neck. So that's like the Marine, that kind of dark humor about things.
He survived that?
He did. He survived it, and wow. No issues. Which talk about
that's an intense fucking wound. Holy shit!
Yeah, like an AK-47 bullet, 7.62 by 39 bullet ripping through your neck and not causing you any kind of paralyzation or taking out an or carotid. Yeah, it was there again. The universe talks,
man.
Your
windpipe, your carotid. I don't know how that bullet missed.
Yeah, dude, I'm blown away that he survived that.
Yeah, well, so now we're in the shit, right? We got two guys wounded. We're enveloped at this time, and when you're in one singular point, actually, we had 2 points. We had a team that was to our southeast, led by a guy Prime Hall, and he was down there, guarding our southeast, but. One of our guys.
I was just going to ask you. So what's? I'm sorry to. What's the position that looked like that you guys are at? Are you guys in a walled compound with a couple buildings, or what's the position look like that you guys are in?
Yeah, we're in a walled compound. With probably about 150 meters of separation between any other compound, which isn't that much, when you think about it. So we deployed basically a maneuver force to set in to guard our flank where the ODA was supposed to be. But, they hit an IED coming out of their, when they were in movement, transit out to where they're supposed to be, their final point of designation. And, when they're Afghan, it was an Afghan, they got blown. One of the partner nation force got blown apart. And after that, their Afghan forces, they were just done trading. They didn't want to go out. So it wasn't on the ODA that they backed out. I'm not saying that, you can't go out without your Afghans coming with you. That's one of the rules. So if your Afghans just tell you a hard no, they're not going, that's the end of the story. Unfortunately, by the time that happened, the sun's coming up. And when the sun comes up in the Helmand Valley, you turn into pumpkins. The ball is over. You're not maneuvering. We're about 2 kilometers out of our main base. So might as well have been 20 kilometers, in that kind of environment where you're in peanut butter mud. Thick mud up to your balls when you're walking through this mud. You can't move fast. You're basically stuck where you're stuck, and you're in an Alamo situation. So and that's what we found ourselves in. And now we got 2 guys wounded. So we called in aircraft, and we called in the Kazovac, called in aircraft, and we'd heard over we were listening to the enemy's communications as well, because they use just ICOM radios, so we could hear what they're saying. And they're basically, they'd encircled us at that point. And, it was a very bad situation. And but I tell you what, man, it was one of the proudest moments I've ever had as a Marine, because I'm sitting there, I got 5 other guys or so with me of American guys, other Marines. And one of them was a dog handler who was an attachment. He was a regular Marine attachment. He's a Lance Corporal. Is the very first combat patrol in his life, and we found himself in that situation.
God damn.
Yeah.
God damn.
And I remember looking at these guys, and I was like, I told them, here's a story. We're surrounded on all sides. We had a medevac LZ capable. We had a field that was capable of landing a helicopter for medevac just to our southeast. And I said, hey, we're probably going to get fucking gunned down going for the choppers to get these guys out of here. But I can't live myself if we don't try. And every one of the guys, every single one of them, there wasn't even a moment of hesitation, man. Everyone was like, fuck it, let's roll. And I think that was like one of the proudest moments. You just having these guys that, like, you're going to get gunned down. You're going to get mowed the fuck down when you walk out in the open in daylight with the guys at 150 meters with belt-fed machine guns and RPGs and such. Like, it's not good. You're probably going to die. But I'd rather die trying than die a coward. Like just die internally, knowing that, like, I just let my buddies die because I'm too much of a fucking pussy to take a risk and go for it. And every one of those guys felt the same way. And we talked about it afterwards, and so, Will Simpson and Prime Hall set a breach on the fucking, on one of the walls, because you don't want to go out of the main door that you entered in the compound, because for sure they got guns trained in on that. So we made our own door. And, we coordinated to where as the medevac choppers were coming in on their final, we blew the wall, smoke grenades out, and out we went, man. We had the Afghans, they produced too, man. They were carrying the stretchers. So the Afghans were running with the stretchers with the guys, and, everyone else just moving and shooting like maniacs, trying to, we basically did an immediate action drill out to where the choppers were landing and then back. And I mean, we took so much fire the chopper got shot up on its way in, coming the first time, and had to wave off and come around for a second time. But I'll tell you what, Marine aviation, thank God for those guys, because we had a mixed section of a four-ship of 2 AH-1s and 2 UH-1s, and those guys came in, and in my JTAC, I cleared them hot on like a Type 3 control. Just like, hey, you're cleared hot to a Winchester. Winchester meaning that you're out of ammunition on all the tree lines around us. So they just came in and were just smashing these tree lines as we're going out to medevac these guys. And we're running through this mud up to our nuts and like trying to trudge across it with these guys that are wounded, and shooting and moving and lobbing grenades and the whole nine. And I remember I don't know how we're alive, dude, to be honest with you, because it was a popcorn machine. And if you've ever been out there with bullets, if a bullet zings by, it's not close enough to worry about, right? But if it snaps, like, you're in some shit, because when that snap, because of the speed of the bullet, if it's close enough to you, you'll hear the snap. And it was just, it was like someone had some bubble wrap right next to your head and just snapping, and that's like the bullets were skipping. Watch them skip through the dirt. RPGs are flying by, machine gun fire, the whole nine. And we got out to the birds, and they had to wave off, and luckily the mixed section was there to smash those tree lines as we're fighting along, and to keep them at bay enough time for the medevac bird to come circle around land, and we threw the guys on the bird and went back to the compound. And I remember before we went out, I told the guys, like, if you get hit on the way out to the birds, just get on the chopper and we'll figure it out later. Like, don't, if you're hit, get on the bird with these other guys. We'll figure it out, because like we don't get one shot at this. And man, we got them on the birds, and we hauled ass, fighting our way back to the compound. I think we got back, man. I had like, I don't know. I mean, I carried like 6 mags on me, and then another like 6 mags in my rucksack. And I expended all 6 magazines like on that run, and so did everyone else. I mean, we're like Winchester when we got back in, so we loaded up real quick again, and then it was on, and that's the rest of the day. We're taking UGLs, the underslung grenade launchers, basically like the 40 millimeters, but the Russian types coming in, and they're hitting our compound. Blew up a few compounds that were a threat to us, and those ODA guys were really great, because the rest of the day, I mean, the enemy was trying to maneuver and close in to destroy us, and they were Johnny on the spot with their mortars. I mean, we were doing linear sheafs, and they're just racking these tree lines with 120 millimeter mortars. And you could hear the Taliban screaming in these tree lines as they're getting fucked up. Just 100 meters away from us, just wham, 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 just down the line, and they just kept it on them all day. But and the intelligence reports came out afterwards, and I mean, kind of like the call to arms had gone out in the Helmand Valley, like, hey, we got a special forces team on the ropes, everyone down here right now. So we had a couple hundred Taliban like enveloping our position, and we fought it out through the rest of that day. But unfortunately, because I had dropped a compound that day. Hold on a second.
Yeah, you out of your pods?
I'm out of my pods. Ran out.
Yeah, not a problem. Hey, do whatever you need to do. This is all being recorded, so we can edit. Like, no worries.
No, it's all good. You guys got.
You sound great. You sound the same.
Okay, so
you're good.
Yeah. So let me see. We because that same I didn't know it at the time, but that same day there had been an agreement made between the U.S. government and the Afghan government that we weren't going to drop any more bombs on Afghan compounds. Now, I didn't know this. So when I dropped bombs on these compounds, I'd broken like a major rule of engagement. And so originally they wanted to court-martial me for doing that.
Jesus.
But out of that, what happened was that the compounds that I dropped, they wanted to do a battlefield damage assessment. Yeah. Like, were there any civilians in this compound, so on and so forth? Like, of course not. Like, we're not we're professionals. We don't drop on civilians. And so we'd made sure that before we dropped these compounds, it was all bad guys when we hit them with bombs. But, they want us to do these battlefield damage assessments. And I told them, like, they want us to do it in the middle of the day. I'm like, you're out of your fucking mind. We're not doing that. I'd
like to hear that fucking radio call. Holy shit. Hey, yeah, we're going to need you guys to leave your fucking security and go check out these fucking compounds.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Get fucked.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much did like this crazy Medal of Honor run to get these guys out of the compound and into safety. And now you're asking me to walk across another 150 meters of open terrain in the daytime. We're still enveloped on all sides by Taliban with their guns trained on us. Like, it's just not going to happen. So they decided, and their decision was to send a team of SEALs in from Kandahar. The Afghan commando unit out of Kandahar, Afghanistan, that was ran by SEALs. And so they sent them in, and I'm like, well, why are you sending these guys from
to do the BDA?
Yeah, to do the BDA at night. We're supposed to, So they're coming in on the 47s from the Special Operations, the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment. They're coming in, landing, and we're supposed to do like kind of a high five, and we go out, and they stay there, and they handle the rest of the stuff for us. But that's not fair either, right? Because those guys, they're from Kandahar. They're not from Helmand, so it's a totally different operating environment. So I sent my guys out on the birds, and then me and my JTAC Dave Harris stayed back and for a proper turnover. And so the second day we're there. We're with the Navy SEALs. Great guys, and actually, Dan Crenshaw, which is one of the he's a congressman in Texas now. He was one of the guys. He was wounded on that day. I was out there when he got wounded, and no fault of their own, man. I mean, it's a bad environment. Like IEDs happen, so they had to maneuver their force to take different compounds around us, and unfortunately, one of their interpreters stepped on the landmine or an IED and wounded a few of their guys and killed the interpreter, I believe. But
and that's so fucked up, because that's the thing. It's just like you were saying, just you've got somebody who's not there, who's making this tactical decision about this BDA thing, and you've got people losing their lives. And I mean, Dan's entire life has changed now. He's lost his fucking eye, and like, Jesus Christ, that shit is ridiculous.
Well, and honestly, I've talked to him after the fact. I've met him I met him at an event years following. I told him, I'm sorry what happened, man. Like, that's not. Here's what happened. We wanted our MARSOC commando team out of Leatherneck, out of Camp Shorbach, to come out and support MARSOC guys, but they didn't want that to happen because they didn't trust the MARSOC guys not to cover for the MARSOC guys in the event that there was something.
God.
Yeah. So there's these are the politics that kind of come into play sometimes, but nothing but the best things, the best of opinions about the SEALs that are out there that day. I mean, they were great. They did fantastic work, and and after, unfortunately, when Dan and some of their other boys got hit, they ended up in the same situation we were in the first day, where they did a fucking Medal of Honor run to get their guys out under fire. So it was just, look, it was a shit show when it all came down. When it got done and we all extracted out of that area, and they dropped us back off at the camp. I mean, we're going on like 72 hours of no sleep, and then just completely drained of your adrenals, and now it's time for like after action reports, and then the phone calls come in from the battalion commander and the SOTF commander and whatever else, and I never thought about it. I never even thought once about an award out of that deal. And in all honesty, if I could give that award back, that those guys wouldn't have got hit, fucking in a heartbeat, man. Like the only thing when I see out of that award, like, look, I'm appreciative of the consideration, but to me, that's a day where I've had some good buddies of mine got hurt, and the SEALs got hurt. So it's not something for me to be proud of.
Yeah.
It's more like, hey, like everything went fucking wrong, and then when things go wrong, then you get awards. Like, what about all the other times where we went out and killed the shit out of the enemy, and everyone came back, we just high fived, and it was like, hey, great job, go get chow, get your gear ready for the next one.
So,
and Jay, hey, about that.
Yeah, brother. How do I say this? So I don't know. Going into the Marine Corps, going to the military, you looked at awards. I don't know. Like, oh damn, that dude's got something. Like, wow, he must have done something fucking badass. When you're like a young guy, and you're raised on Rambo and fucking all these movies and shit, right? And especially like the Olympics, dude. I mean, honestly, I'm going to compare it to the Olympics, like gold, silver, and fucking bronze, right? Like you're a fucking badass. You earn this shit. However, in combat, exactly like you just said, something has gone terribly wrong. Lives were lost or injuries were to be had. And when I was designated for my award, I tried to deny it because something you said, I 1,000,000,000% echo, is I just did my job. And honestly, I enjoyed it. And there was like some guilt attached to that. Like, I came out unscathed, and my bros don't have arms, and my captain died, So it's like my award reminds me of a day where we were faced with a horde of enemy, and we got out with what we had, and some didn't. So I'm with you on that one, dude. Like, it's there's definitely some like weird guilt attached to it. And I think I vocalized this so much, and this is why I'm saying this to you, Brian. My captain, Dean Schultz, who was Bravo Company's commander at 1st Recon Battalion, at that time he was replacement commander. I chose him and my platoon sergeant to fly to Kansas to present this award to me. And guys that I knew, I didn't want some unit, I was out. I was a fucking dirty civilian at that time, dude. So I chose dudes that I knew. And in front of all of these like hundreds of people, this ceremony, dude, in my dress blues, he's like, this award is not for you. And in this statement, I'm telling you, what he's about to say to me, like, took the weight and the guilt off my shoulders. He's like, this isn't for you. This is for your family and your friends and your community. You're representing something more than just you. And the Marine Corps. So, like, his words are profound because I was in front, like, literally at attention when he's giving me this award, nose to nose, in his fucking hat and my dress blues, and there's all these people behind me, like, you face the same thing. It's like, it's such a surreal moment to receive something when I've been kind of a shitbag garrison Marine, and I enjoyed the field and I enjoyed my boys, and here I am getting this award for doing my job like you did. So rest easy with the fact that a lot of people understand that fucking day, dude, you did your job. And you stepped up to the fucking plate, and you had a chance to fucking cower. You had a chance to fucking be in the fetal position and give up. Like what you said, imagine that. Imagine those people out there listening right now that love TikTok and Costco and Sam's Club. And they might have been in one fight, in a fight with their fists, maybe once. And here you are. If we leave this fucking door, guys, there are armed, trained Taliban that I actually respect more than a lot of fucks in our country now that want me to disappear in their homeland. They're going to end you. Your death is outside that fucking door inevitably, dude, but you have to go. If you stay there, you're going to die. So being forced to that situation, what do you fucking do, dude? You got to grab a hold of whatever and fucking make it happen. Like, dude, my hat's off to you, dude. Like, I've been through some shit. Patrick's been through some shit, dude. Like, I think only guys like us truly understand, like, that moment. So, like, dude, I'm glad you did. I'm glad it was you that was there and not someone else. You know what I'm saying, dude? And I'm glad you made it back with us.
Honestly, I mean, all the guys who were out there with me that day, they all did their job. And they all deserve any accolade that I ever had. I just happened to be the highest ranking guy there. You know, by billet, I was in charge once the captain got hit. So luckily, you know, I'd had enough training by that point. I'd been through enough shit and to understand the geometries of the battlefield and the assets we had and what was necessary in order to you know, have the best probable chance of surviving that and killing the most enemy while we were doing it. Yeah, it was, you know, I'll tell you what, man, like, you know, anyone who says they don't like pray, you know, like, I'm not a big religious guy, and that's not what I'm getting at here. But, you know, whenever I would pray about before I'd go out on like some shit, you know, that was going to be Perry, you know, it was never like, let me kill my enemies or anything like that. My prayer was always like, let me remember everything I've learned, and let me be able to call upon all of my training and learning so that I don't let my men down. You know, that was my thing. You know, like to me that seemed righteous. It's not righteous to like say like, you know, let me kill my enemies. You know, because they're praying the same prayer I am. Like, I'm just saying, let me remember everything I've trained to remember, and let me maximize my capabilities that I've trained to know and to be able to employ, and let the rest be what it's going to be. You know, and that's the way I always looked at it. Like, and as it turned out, man, you know, we got the upper hand, and we killed. I don't know how many we killed, but it was a fucking lot, man. You know, we decimated their force. And that was, and again, this is just one day. You know, this is that like everyone focuses on this this Navy Cross thing. But
that's one day, bro. That's one day.
It's like you're jocking up. Yeah, exactly. You're jocking up to do it again the next day. You know, that's a question. So did you? Obviously, like, and we all know, like, hey, that there's a fucking day at work. Congratulations, like Jason said. Hey, here's some fucking chow. Jock up. You're doing it again tomorrow. Did you see a difference in the environment, like, in the following like week or so, with like, hey, we're getting a lot less ticks now because we fucking smoked some of these dudes and we feel like we've thinned the herd a little bit? Do you feel like there was a change in the amount of you know, dudes you were run into in the following like few days after that, or no?
It would have been nice to have a few days of reprieve, but honestly, it didn't happen. And as I remember, we're right back on ambush patrols, and so, you know, doing our standard operations. Yeah. You know, the next fucking night, because it's just the way it goes. Yeah. If you take your foot off the boot of the enemy, they will bite you. Or if you take your boot off the neck of the enemy, they'll bite you. Right, so you just gotta stay on top of it. And so we went out. We made our own luck. Sorry, my wife's in the background talking. We made our own luck, and really, that's a very important point. It's like complacency kills, and not just complacency with, like, you know, not making sure that your gear is tight and your mission plan is appropriate, but also your preparation in keeping the enemy off balance. You consistently have to find new and innovative ways to hunt the enemy. So with whatever different ways we had, and I don't want to get into the details of how we did it, but we had different ways where we'd identify which ways they're coming in, which routes, which trails, where they consolidated, and we would use that to our advantage. And we'd set ambushes. You know, we'd mortar them, we'd drop airstrikes on them, we'd set in, you know, physical ambushes, or they combine all of them together. and we just stacked bodies, and we continued. We did that throughout that deployment and every other deployment we had out there. And I mean, all the deployments were pretty much the same. You're surrounded by a bunch of meat eating cockswing commandos who are at the top of their game, and they like to hunt, and so do I.
Yes.
And we never, and that's the other misconception, is in the media, they constantly portray this. There's this. I take offense to the constant portrayal of the modern veteran, the modern war veteran, as someone who's like PTSD'd out and like can't function in society and so on and so forth. I understand that that's a reality for a lot of guys out there, and I sympathize with them and I wish them the best. But I don't feel that way. I never for once had any reservation about what I was doing, nor did any guys I was with. We all knew the task that was at hand. We knew what was at stake, and we it's just business. We were out there to do business. We were out there to be professionals. We've been trained to the optimum level that the U.S. Arsenal had to train us, and we're there to put in work, man. We're there to get a job done, and there's no reason to ever be sorry for doing what you're intended to do. If your intent is to go out there and kill as many enemy as possible so that the local Afghan forces could build their bases and gain a foothold in the areas to control it on their own, well, then that's the mission. And I'm going to do it well. And so are the guys to my left and my right. And I'm going to trust them. And they're going to trust me. And that's how we get this.
Fucking amen. Amen. Yeah, bro. That award deal, the only guys like you and I that received such awards can understand, man. Like I still don't. There's like a weird attachment to it, Like I never talk about it. Obviously, I never bring it up, like some fucks do at a bar or something. But it's,
well, that's the thing too, though, bro. Is like I'm with you. I never. People be like, I didn't know you had a Navy Cross. Why didn't you tell me? Like,
how does it come up? Oh, did you know I got a Navy Cross? Yeah, I did. I did amazing things in Afghanistan, and a lot of people got hurt. But yeah, fuck yeah, look at me. Like, yeah, no, that doesn't come up, dude.
No, I mean it's always like it's not. I made a point never to talk about it, but the problem is like everyone, usually like the people, people, family, friends, whatever. They're like, "Do you know he has this? This guy's a war hero." It's like,
yeah,
dude, like, come on, man, like, don't fucking, They talk about it, and then I don't know, man. I'll be honest, it weirds me. It weirds me right the fuck out. Like I don't like.
I'm with you.
I normally don't talk.
I'm with you. The reason I want to bring it up is it's an example of fuck the award and the metallic properties and the cloth that this thing's made out of, and like fuck it, fuck the individual aspect of it. That award is like on a linear scale. It's like a time stamp of a moment in time, left to right of that time stamp by an hour or two of two forces, two groups of human beings, two cultures coming to a head, and some dudes got fucked up on both sides. And this is the story. This is we idolize football players, we idolize the Hail Marys, we idolize the fucking punt receive and he runs to the fucking touchdown. Like this is sports are training for moments like this. That's where sports originate from. How did you succeed? How did your boys get out? And that's what that award exemplifies, is that moment in time. And I want people to know that no matter how hard your life is, there's not much that can top moments like these unless you're in the mouth of a crocodile or a shark, or you know what I'm saying, dude? This is
You guys both made some really good points exactly for why this stuff is so important and why it is good to sort of, like, Brian, like, we want to bring it up and talk about it, because it is that, it's like you said, and we've all heard this before, it's not about yourself, it's about that person to your left and right. And what Jason said, it's like that push pin, and that's what it is. It's that pin in a moment of time when you look to the people to your left and your right, and you did what you had to do for them, and they did whatever they did for you, and it's that sort of remembrance. And unfortunately, too many times there's somebody loses their life or there's a severe injury at that moment. I don't think there's ever been a moment when in battle when one of these things was given out and everybody fucking walked away clean and nobody was injured, unfortunately. But it's something that you remember again for the people that were injured and didn't make it, and it talks about sort of the best of who we are, but it's not something that I think I know for myself, and I know tons of guys that I've served with. I've known tons of guys, just in the community who've just done exceptional things, and it's like, you don't go on and on about it, but it's definitely, it's appreciative that you're willing to do. It's that sort of example of what you're willing to do for the person to your left and your right, and it's always important to remember that, no matter what.
I think it's important to note that when you join the service, you join for like the prestige of the service branch that you're coming into. Like, I want to be a Marine, for example. Hoorah, Marine Corps, and all that. But when it comes down to brass tacks, what really matters is that you're there for the guy to your left and your right, and they're there for you. And that's why, like, I've got family, I got brothers, but for me, my true brothers are the ones that I've chosen through my own interactions, my own experience with them. Like, I've got bros that, they're just like lifelong pals that I'll drop anything in an instant, fly across the country if they're in need, and they bailed me. I've had brothers that bailed me out of like terrible situations in my personal life, put me up for 6 months while I'm going through a divorce. And then I do the same thing for the next guy. I was living in a house in Orange County in California, and I had a good situation where I was like baller house and I was doing pretty well for myself. And my neighbors were like, "Man, what's going on, Brian? You just, it's like Motley Crue, I just have like, it'd be me and like 5 other team guys like riding our Harleys into our garage, and I'm living in this like gated community right on the fucking coast with a beach view, and they couldn't understand it, but they didn't need to understand it, because for me it was like, if I come into fortune and grace, then it's my responsibility to share it with the people I love the most, which is these guys. So, friend X is going through a divorce, like, no problem, man. Like, don't be living on couches doing the couch circuit. I've done it. It sucks. Come live here, get yourself back on your feet. I don't want any money from you. That's not the way this goes. Just come here, get your shit together, get back on your feet, and then, go back out on your own. Because I know someday the it'll be returned. And I've seen that happen where, I've given to a brother in need and got him back on his feet, and then he's given right back to me and got me back on my feet. And that's the brotherhood, man. That's what I think a lot of people out there don't understand, is just the camaraderie. It extends beyond the battlefield. It's not about the battlefield. The battlefield is what it is. We all commit to that. We all put in our time in that endeavor. But the real battlefield is back here in life, man. When you get out of the Marine Corps and you're like, or you get away from the Special Operations Service, like, well, shit, what now? What do I do? And the guy's like, oh, hey, I got you a job here if you want it. All right, hey, you're down on your luck. You need some money. Like, here's $10,000. Don't get back to me when you can. Like, that's the brotherhood that you can't put a price on, man. Like, that's what makes this thing what it is, and the camaraderie, that fucking family that you build out of adversity. It was a perfect time, man. I think MARSOC was to be completely divested from the West Coast as of June or July of 2021. I retired. My retirement date was July 31st or whatever of 2021, but I actually retired, and my retirement ceremony was in May. Before that happened, I was senior enlisted advisor in the SOTF overseas, Special Operations Task Force overseas, and I did my bit over there And then I put in for a skills bridge internship, and I had a good friend of mine in California who ran a construction company. And he's like, "Hey, I want you to come and work for me." But for me, I told him his name was this guy, Sean Scholl, great guy, owns a company, works out of Dana Point, California. I was like, "Sean, I don't even know how to read a tape measure. What are you talking about? I don't know shit about construction." He's like, "Don't worry, I'll fucking teach you." So I said, "All right, well, if you could get me out of, if I stay in the Marine Corps, if I stay here, they're going to have tasks for me. The consolidation of the MARSOC was happening to the East Coast, and they needed people to figure out how that was going to look like. But I didn't want to be one of those people, and it wasn't because I didn't like MARSOC or I wasn't committed. It was just because I committed my entire life in an operational. Like I never really had. I was never like an instructor, or I never took a break. I was always in an operational build, except for I did a year and a half on MARSOC recruiting duty because they made me take a break. But that was the only time. Aside from that, I was always in the field and doing stuff. So the way I figured it's like I've already put in my time. So now here I am. I've got 2 failed marriages. I got and I got 4 kids, and I got married again for my 3rd time, and I got another kid on the way. And I had another kid. So I had 5 kids, 3 marriages. Like, I need to fucking figure out what the rest of my life's going to look like. And I'm not going to do that while I'm figuring out how to move MARSOC from the West Coast to the East Coast. So I need an option. And 2 things happened, right? So the Honor Foundation, which is a great organization that helps out operators get transitioning. The Honor Foundation took me in. And so I went through the Honor Foundation's curriculum, and I learned a lot about I figured out what I wanted to do and what that was going to look like. And I gained a lot of access to different networks that could facilitate me in that process. Second, I picked up with Sean Scholl and his company, Cornerstone Openings, out of Dana Point, California. I started learning the construction trade. And, hey, it was a rough learning process, man. I mean, I went right back to being a boot, like, what the fuck are you doing? This isn't how that goes. That's how that goes. And, I'm learning about structural engineering and customer relation management and job costing and, the whole gamut. I was a project manager, and I ended up getting elevated to a VP of the company. And I worked there for, a year and a half. But it wasn't because of that company, but I kind of came to the realization. I was like, I was making great money, man. I was making really, really good money with that company. But in California, it's just so expensive to live there that by the time I get done paying my taxes on that money, and then my overhead for like 5 kids and ex-wives and current wife and everything else, is like, I'm not saving it. I'm really not putting that much away. So my wife, her family's from the Detroit area, and the other thing we talked about earlier, with no property taxes and all the other. And I said, it's time for a change. So I came out here, bought a house, and I set myself up for a position where I don't have to work if I don't want to. And I think that's critical, because a lot of guys, when they get out, they're like, well, what am I going to do? And I need to do something. Like, yeah, I mean, I do something every day. Like, I go to the gym for 2 hours. I work on projects, and I started my own company out here. I represent products of, worthy products to, Special Operations Command and other people that I think have validity to enhance capabilities and capacity across the enterprise. So I'm an independent consultant, an independent contractor out here. And it's been working out pretty well. I did a couple of tours over to the Ukraine. I put in my bid over there because I think the people deserve it, and train some guys to do good work over there. And then I've done other work, throughout the country in a contractor capacity for training and operations. But really, I'll go out, I'll work a month, I'll make as much money as I can within that month, and I'll take 2 months and work on my passion projects, so it ain't a bad living, man. And I think I feel that I owe it to myself and I owe it to my family to kind of put us in a position where we don't have to struggle. The struggle is real, as I say, right? So, but you don't have to be involved in that. I can come out here and live a good life And if I'm not like trying to make, $20,000-$30,000 a month, like, it's fine, man. Like, if it comes, it comes. And if it doesn't, who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
We'll stay out here. Like, I'll drink my whiskey. I'll hang out with good people. I'll get on podcasts. I'll do whatever.
That's right.
And
you still got all your fingers and toes.
thankfully I do.
Yeah, I mean,
And I've got my mental aptitude, man. Like, again, to all those out there who think that the vets are these, PSD,
helpless,
traumatized guys. Helpless. I'll say, don't believe everything the media is telling you, because for every one guy that's having a hard time, and I sympathize with them, and they should get the help that they need, and that's it. It's crucial that we reorganize the system to support these guys and give them the assets they need. But for every one guy that's having a hard time, there's fucking 5 guys out there who are doing just fine and who don't give a shit about how many people they killed and only care about the good that they do. I will say, though, the VA sucks, man. The VA is fucking dumb. And especially the VA in Detroit. Let me tell you, Detroit VA, fuck yourself. That place it's the biggest shithole, lazy, fucking lackadaisical bullshit fucking representation of the U.S. government fucking assets that I've ever fucking seen. Fuck Detroit VA.
Well, that's
my official.
Yeah, we're not cutting that. We're going to keep that. So
yeah, I'm moving to Ann Arbor. Ann Arbor, I hear you're great, and I'm coming on board soon. So stand by.
So switching gears, bro. You've had a long, amazing career, and I'm glad I got to share some very intimate years with you, literally to your left and to your right, bro. Thankful for that. I sent you a text earlier. I was like, hey, man, get in your brain housing group of the soup sandwich from TBI, bro, and think about some moments that stick out, if you can recall, that were hilarious. And this is a trend where you're interview number 2, and I've always made the joke that that special operations guys and just combat dudes in general, combat MOS, is that you come out of it like as an amateur comedian. You have to endure the hardship that we fucking face, man, the mundane, everyday bullshit. So, and we stood next to some hilarious dudes like Red Smith. So, like,
oh yeah,
hilarious. Like in your database of hilarious moments, dude, you got anything from like boot camp to embarrassment to yourself? You got any funny moments that stick out to you out of your entire career?
Give us a closing story here.
You got a note card, dude. I like it.
Yeah, because I know myself. The key to success is knowing yourself and what you're capable of, right? So I know that with a few drinks inside me, I'm going to forget about things. And between the TBI and the whiskey, I'm going to forget what I want to say. So, okay, let's go through this. We'll just go through it by the numbers. Number 1.
Yes. This is the standard from here on out, dude. Fucking from here on out, dude. You better have a note card prepared for this shit.
Yeah. Number 1, Lady Gaga. What do I need? What do I mean by that? Well, we're going in on a mission into Sangin, which it was served in Afghanistan. Knows Sangin's an inhospitable place at best.
It's just a beautiful place.
I mean, it'd be fun in the sun if it wasn't for Afghans and all their bullshit over there. So, but we're going in there to pick up a guy who's a defector from one of the other military branches, and we knew it was going to be a shit show. So, in the team room, when you're getting prepared to go on a mission, the team room, it's almost like a locker room. You have these like wooden built, cubbies that have your battle armor and your extra magazines, your fragmentation grenades, smokes, your batteries, the whole 9. At all times, you have your gear ready to go on a mission. However, before you go on a mission, because you're anal retentive like we all are, you go through everything again and again and again and make sure it's all picture perfect before you go. And while you're doing that, we have a radio in there, and we used to take turns and like, okay, so today it's my day, and today because it's my day, I want to play Hatebreed. Let's get in the zone. We're here to destroy everything. We're gonna fucking go. And then the next day it's Metallica, and the next day it's fucking whatever. Well, Brian Jakes, who you alluded to earlier,
Yeah.
he was a softer,
Yeah.
gentler Marine Raider. Not saying he wasn't a killer. That's not what I'm saying.
But the nicest operator you've ever met.
He looked like a 5'8" special operations version of Quentin Tarantino. That's the best I could put it.
Yeah, it's a good way, dude. So, Jacquez.
Yeah, the curly fro.
Yeah.
The face only a mother could love. But he was he was a killer, right? So, and Brian Jakes loved him some Lady Gaga. So now we're going on this crazy mission where we're like, this is fucked, like we're going in the hornet's nest with 90 commandos, 10 gringos, and we're gonna go get it on. So we need some serious like motivational music to get ourselves in the zone here. And what does he put on? Because it's his fucking night. He puts on Lady Gaga, and we're like, fucking no, Jakes, absolutely fucking not. Take that shit off the fucking radio, like not happening. He stood his ground. He's like, fuck you. This is my night. We're listening to fucking Lady Gaga. If you got a fucking problem with it, I'll fucking fight you right now. And so we're just like, I mean, I know I could beat the shit out of Jakes, and so did everyone else in there. But you had to respect his convictions.
You're still going to come out with probably a bloody nose or a bloody lip, which is more pain than you really want over Lady Gaga. So,
I just told him, like, you know what, dude, when we all fucking die on this mission, you're at fault. Because you fucking want to play Lady Gaga. So he plays Lady Gaga and he's dancing around Alejandro and Telephone and all these other fucking songs, which I'll get into later, why I know all these songs by heart. So he plays this shit and we're all pissed, dude. We're fucking fuming. We get on the choppers with the 160th Special Operations Aviation Regiment on their 47s, and we fly in. And as we're flying in, I'm sitting on the front. I'm jacked in the ICS, the communication system. Yeah. I'm in the front of the bird, and I'm next to the door gunners on both sides. And we're coming. I hear like RPG, fucking, like I'm hearing the pilots freaking out, and I'm watching out the windows. It's like Star Wars tracers, and the door gunners are open up on both sides. And we're fucking banking and swerving, and then something blows up, man. Boom! In the plane, knocks me over, and I'm on the floor, and the door gunner is just fucking stepping on my goddamn head as I'm trying to get up with like my 80-pound block of fucking ammunition, and we're fucking flying in. We slam down on the deck, and we fucking haul ass off the fucking bird. And we get out of the bird, and we move to our fucking PZ posture, like pick up zone posture. But we get off the bird, in the rotor wash, you got to get off. And that's why it's important to know which way you're going to go from whatever way the nose is pointed at the bird, which direction you have to go to get to your compound of interest and set your coordinate and clear and everything else. So I pull out my compass, figure it out, and we're on the move. But while we're in the bird and that explosion goes off, it's shrapneled a couple guys. So like one of the guys is on the bird, he's fucking, he's screaming, he's hit. And so I told him, like, stay on the bird. I took his kill number off his chest, his patch, so I could call it in. So we get off the bird, we get in our compounds, and that same guy is in the compound. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing here? You're supposed to stay on the bird. He's like, fuck that, I'm not a pussy. I'm like, okay, fine. Well, here's your patch back. He's bent over, getting shrapnel pulled out of his ass, right? And we're in this bird, so we're in the compounds. And the next day, it was a shit show, man. We had 3 positions, and it was a full-on shit fight, man. We're fighting our asses off. I mean, to the point where we're like throwing grenades back and forth at each other, and we killed the shit out of everybody that needed to be killed, of course. And to the point where we're all like red on ammunition, like we're down to our like last bag of ammunition, because the Afghans, while they mean well, they have M4s, we have M4s, so it's great for us because they're like a mobile transport.
Yeah.
Like, as I run out of magazines, I'm like,
they're not
hey,
shooting.
Fuckface, come here. I take 2 magazines from him, like 2 of my empties. Yeah. I'd stack myself back up, and I'd fucking slap him on the ass and put it back on the wall in security, and then we get back to business. But it was a heavy duty day, and then at nighttime the air was going towards the red, which means that those like sandstorms or whatever, where they had like less than a half mile visibility. So they're like, well, hey, we may not be able to come get you now. You have to wait till tomorrow night. We're like, well, that's not going to work. And here's why. Because we're all out of ammunition and the Hornet's nest is still active. So I guess, we could go pick up ammunition and weapons off all the dead that are out in the fields around us. But that's still not answering the question of how we're going to survive through this next day. And sure enough, man, like I got to give credit to the Special Operations Aviation Regiment. Like those, the 160th SOAR, those guys. His name was Shannon Blitchington. I still remember. They came in and they picked us up. But when they came in, we got in PZ pause. We kind of got like we're still in our compounds. Like, we can't really move. So we had a C-130 gunship overhead, and as the 47s are coming in with the little birds in support, the C-130 gunships are smashing the compounds around. Not the compounds, the tree lines and all where all the enemy positions were. They're smashing them with was the 105s and
25s.
40 millimeter and 25 millimeters. I mean, they're just laying waste as the birds are coming in. And it's still, I'm watching my MVGs horrified because it's like Star Wars. I'm just watching tracers and RPGs and shit fly by these guys as they're coming in. Like, oh, fuck. And that's the only time I've ever seen Afghan commandos run for their lives. Because they're all so fucking lazy. They're just like go, zoot, 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 move the fuck out, get on the chopper. And they're like, whatever. They're just like diddy bopping along with their AK slung over their fucking shoulder or their M4 slung over the shoulder. This time, you could tell it was serious because those guys ran like their life depended on it. And we got on the birds, and we're got on them, and we're fucking hauling ass out of there. And, it was like, I remember like we're on the bird and we didn't even clip in. We just stuffed everyone on. Or we're just like holding on to the side, the frame of the aircraft and holding on to each other as we're like hauling ass out of that place. And we barely made it out of it, man. I mean, we really did. And to the point where like one of the positions, the 47s had to smash down through power lines. They landed on power lines and crushed them down to get those guys onto the bird and out of there. It was that bad. And so when we got back to the compound, our training compound, and we looked at each other like, fuck, there's only Bobby got some shrapnel on his ass, and a couple other guys got shrapnel, like
Lions.
And we killed like a couple hundred guys or whatever it was we killed. Like, fuck, well, we're nothing if not superstitious. So now it's Lady Gaga every time before this. So now you got a bunch of grown fucking men dancing around Alejandro in our kits, and I just remember that, man. Like a bunch of like vetted, like these guys are all killers. They all got like 50, 60, 100 plus kills under their belts individually, and they're dancing around, fucking slapping each other's asses, and being silly to Lady Gaga. I don't know what Lady Gaga would feel about that, but it really happened, and that's my story.
So Lady Gaga became a fucking staple pre-mission fucking workout music, huh?
Yeah, fucking death song.
So there's that. So that's number one. And then let's talk about libo risks, which Jay, you know about this.
Yeah, you and I share a mutual friend who from Naples, Florida, named named Will, who's the definition of a fucking libo risk.
Yeah, he is, and I try to stay clear of his antics when we're. But I do remember, Fort Polk, Louisiana.
Yes, sir.
We went.
Yes, sir.
We went out for a training op and went with the commando team, and it was like I don't know if it was our company collective exercise or it was a
DC or a CCE, one of the two.
I think it was CCE, but I do remember just like
debauchery.
The final night we're there. This is Shreveport, Louisiana, and we went out to
this is Baton Rouge, homie.
Was it?
Yeah, this is Baton Rouge, man.
Well, regardless, I remember, again, speaking to the professionalism of the guys, whether we're like killing enemy or like going out partying, the guys are pretty professional. I mean, meaning that like drop dead time means drop dead time. Like, okay, 5 o'clock in the morning, everyone's back here at the van, the bang bus, 15 passenger van they rent us from Enterprise or multiple, ready to go to
that the windows always get busted out.
Yeah. We're going to the airfield. We're getting on the bird and we're flying home. So we went out. I remember we started like Larry Flint's Hustler Club, and I'm watching my team commander at the time. He's a former enlisted guy. He's just crumbling up dollars. Like, yeah, you dirty bitch. Like, take that. He's just throwing dollar bills out, and he says like throwing dollar bills at these chicks. We're partying, and we're just having the best of times, man. And then later on that night, I remember like we pissed off a whole bar of like New Orleans type people by telling them the Super Bowl was rigged, and we get bottles thrown at us for free, and so. But the end of the night, it was like 5 o'clock in the morning, and I black out. I will come to you. I black out. I come to you. I black out. I come to you, and I'm at the van. I'm like, how did I get here? I don't know. All is well. Why ask questions? So I'm at the van, and I just watched it. I'm watching these zombies. Those guys just like stumbling down the streets while like we're moving to the van. Everyone made it on time, on target at the van. Now I don't remember what happened so much after that. I do remember that. One of our EOD tech puked in his backpack, and then someone hit, whoever was driving the van hit like some poles, so there was like the yellow marks from like the pole, like the yellow like poles on the side of the van. Like we smashed up the van, driving and crashing into things. And then one of the guys had to take a piss, like as we're driving through swampland, got out, took a piss, and fell in the water, and we had to pull him out. So he looks like, the swamp man, just covered in mud and shit.
Are you talking about Scott Bot?
I'm talking about Scott Bot.
Yeah, I know. I heard who it was.
Let's fast forward to like morning time. So the airfield doesn't open until 9 or whatever it was. So we get to the airfield at like 7. They're not open. So what do? We park up near the entrance next to this chain link fence near the airport, and the entire team evacuates the van. It smells like puke and bad decisions. And we set up next to the fence, IV bag hanging for Scott Bot, who was hurting bad, and so he's naked with a blanket over him and an IV in his arm, and the rest of us are laid out on the ground, just regretting the shame of the night before, and but that seemed to be like every time, man. It wasn't like just once. It was like that was kind of like every time. It was like, how sad and tragic can we push this before it becomes a disaster? And we rode a fine line, dude. And and proud to say, I never got really, but I mean, I fucked up a few times.
Right.
Those of you know the times I fucked up.
I just didn't get caught. Like I got lucky and didn't get caught for 2/3 of it. So if you fuck up and you get caught, that's like some piss poor execution, homie. So I remember this night specifically because our side of our team was into the same shenanigans. So whatever fucking team member we were, filled with our legends, they're out doing their shit. We should have joined for whatever reason we didn't.
It's probably good we didn't.
Almost got thrown off the top of Club Tsunami by a gang of like 30 black girls because my other buddy fucking broke their camera on her birthday, and it was a long fucking story, dude. Yeah, I didn't get thrown off the top. So we converge at this small municipal airport. You beat us there. We're in our van. This is where I'm showing my perspective on you guys. Sun's coming up, early morning. We didn't drink that much. Okay, we did, but I personally didn't. So I remember this. We're pulling up to this gate. They let us in. You guys were beyond the fence, up against the building in the shade. I see fucking the whole MSOT, Marine Special Operations team. To me, everyone had a fucking IV in their fucking arms. You're all sitting up against the fucking wall looking like you're goddamn dead. And I was just like, I remember Scott Bot looking, Mr. Maurice looking, who is the most straight-laced, the most professional, quiet, consummate professional you've ever fucking met. But on Libo, it sounds like this night he turned into someone else. He let it out. He let that hate out.
No, the thing about Scott Bot is like, once the juice touches his lips, stand the fuck up.
That's true.
It's like he's just awesome, and I love him, but
yeah,
I remember carrying that guy over my shoulders up to our hotel room while he's puking down my back. It's like going in my shoes. And it's like, you suck.
Dude, I knew Maurice from YF2, dude, over at Fallujah, fucking at First Recon, man. Scott's a good dude. I remember that day, my friend. I was there with you, but only a block or two to your left or right.
But and I often said, what a great premise for a book, because everyone's always writes about these epic battles and the things that go on.
Right.
I was like, but what about the shenanigans? Does anyone talk about the shenanigans? Like these people out there who think we're like the tip of the spear and the premier fighting forces of our country. I'm not saying that we aren't. Like when it comes time to work, we fucking work. But I'm saying like the time, like we work hard and we play hard, and all the fucking stories about the just absolute shenanigans.
That's exactly why I'm asking you these questions.
I mean, one of our friends we've alluded to beforehand, I won't say the name, but, chasing a hooker down the 5 in the middle of the fucking night.
Oceanside to be particular.
Down the 5 freeway, chasing.
We're going to back it up even further. This is right after Fort Polk, but this is in between the time that we deploy to Helmand and Farah, him and I's mutual deployment in 2009. We've already had 3 or 4 DUIs at this point. If we get one more fuck up, they threaten to put us in the fucking in a goddamn tent. And this is like 30-year-old fucking killers that have been fighting for 10 years that are now raiders. So and all of us, dude, we're just like, dude, let's just get to fucking Afghanistan and let it all out there. Let's just get there. Our actions in limbo were about to deny us our realm to fight. So I'm painting a picture here that the word's out that we're definitely a little loose in limbo, man. And this one guy, we'll just call his first name Will, call sign Will. Continue.
I mean, he got like a cop. A highway patrol who happened to be driving down the 5 saw a guy running down the freeway. Asked him questions. So he pulled over and he asked him what's going on. It's like, this chick robbed me, and so he elicits the support of a highway patrolman to go find this chick, and they did. And when it all washes out, it turns out that like he was soliciting. When he was soliciting.
She ran off with his funds.
Yeah, but there's no charges. Walked away clean. Went on deployment. Like nothing happened.
He got his dick slapped because he wasn't sent to Farah with us. He was sent to be a what's that called? Not ASO, but
LNO.
An LNO. Yeah. He got sent over to be an LNO, like a middleman for the first 2 months.
Hey, you know what, Jay? What better place for a guy who can't control himself than to put him in a joint base with females and booze accessible? Because anyone thinks it's not booze accessible in Afghanistan is out of there. You just don't know the score. People are sending shit all the time. So you got booze, you got females, you got joint forces. We talked about the strategic importance of keeping shit in line. Let's take this guy who's a Libo incident, the Claymore mine, as if you will, and let's put him in a position where he could cause strategic damage to the U.S. government. What? and hey, well, if you're watching this afterwards, go fuck yourself. I don't care. I'm telling the story.
Yeah, that's right, man. We still love you. I wouldn't choose anyone else in a gunfight but him, man. He's a brother. We can talk shit. That's why. If you're not talked about, then you're fucking hated.
That's right. So Fort Polk, dude, the bar fights. The bar fights are epic because for those of you out there who don't understand, here's how it goes. You fly into location X, Mobile, Alabama, El Centro,
some shitty little town.
Some town where they're not used to seeing folks like us. And you find a bunch of barrel-chested freedom fighters, all in their 20s, 30s, guapo fucking dudes. What happens? The local fair females are like, whoa, who are these fucking strapping young lads coming in here? So they all get interested. Well, who's not interested is their boyfriends and their friends and everyone else, the college team.
The local male population. That's right.
The local college football team is not bad. So what ends up inevitably happening is a fight. And, when a fight happens, one guy starts it with one of our guys, then they fight, and then it just escalates from there. And before you know it, you're just kicking the shit out of the entire bar, which isn't optimal. And it's not planned. It's not like we went out there looking for a fight. But when it comes, by God, we're ready.
It comes hard.
Well, it comes hard. And one of my favorite fights I'll talk about. We're in El Central. We're in a place called the Owl, and it's ladies' night at the Owl. Well, we happen to be in a jump practice, so we're just doing.
It was our MMPS course, wasn't it? I was there with you.
No, it was an SF10.
Yeah, SF10 transition course. Yes.
Yeah, SF10 transition course,
That's
and
right. That was there.
Free fall at the time. So we go out there. Well, the free fall guys are jumping because their parachutes could go towards they have 20 knot forward airspeed, so they could go in any kind of winds and generally land. Well, SF10s are like 10 knot forward airspeed. So if it's over 10 knots of wind, our jumps are canceled, which we took advantage of, with a happy heart. So
weather day.
Shucks, it's 13 knot winds tonight. I guess we can't jump. Well, I guess we better go check out Ladies' Night at the Owl. And we go check out Ladies' Night at the Owl, and it was everything we thought it was going to be. And then one of my guys thought it would be, girl gets up, she wants to dance on top of the bar, God bless her. She starts to dance on top of the bar. Well, he starts taking dollar bills and stuffing them in her pants. Well, no, she's not, working. She's just stuffing bills in her pants, and so she's not happy about this. She takes the bills out, throws them back at him, and she tells him to get away from her. And then he does it again because he's a romantic. He tries to do it one more time, and so she jumps off the bar and slaps him across the face. He grabs her hair, your hair smells like shit, and then all hell breaks loose. So she starts fucking swinging on him. Next thing I know, bouncers are coming out of all corners. I get wrapped up by a bouncer, and I'm not even doing anything. I get wrapped up by a bouncer. Now, mind you, I'm in charge. I'm a team chief at this point. And so naturally the thing to do is to break that control of the bouncer, and I turn around, knock him out. And then my captain at the time was like, get us out of here. And so it was like, on the so we fucking make movement. We run down this long hallway towards the back door, and it's bolted. It's bolted and locked from the inside. So we're at a choke point with like 12 to 14 operators, and you got all these bouncers over here charging us. So you do what anyone would have done. You kick the fucking door open off its hinges. So we run back, do a karate kick, bam, kick the door open. We're spilling out in the alleyway. We're fucking doing a 4-4-40 down the fucking alley, and we're gone like a thief in the night. Now, the thing I will also talk about with that situation was that we had done our pre-planning. Like any professionals, you plan before you go into any situation that could be disadvantageous towards everybody. So we took the fucking new guy in the team, and we made him drive the bang bus. So we said, hey, you're going to post up at this 76 station, a half mile away from this location, and you're going to sit there. You're going to fucking wait. And all the guys knew that if anything goes down while we're in here, you're breaking contact, starburst, every direction, and you're reconvening 30 minutes after the fact at the 76 station for pickup. If you're not there, you find your own fucking way back to the barracks. Well, just like every other fucking time, everyone, 30 minutes on the dot, they're coming out of bushes, over walls, whatever. They're convening on the van. We jump in and we fucking bounce out. Easy day, man. So we knocked out all the bouncers. We defiled the local town populace. And I'm not saying I'm proud of it because it probably shouldn't have happened, but it is what happened. And fuck it, man. These are the way things go. And we didn't mean any harm by it, but if you come with a problem, you're going to find a solution, and it's probably not going to be one that you like.
Yeah, that's right, man. I fucking love it.
Well, there you go.
Well, dude,
that was awesome.
I've got one question for you, man. We'll end it with this. This is going off our last guy we just interviewed, amazing human being that you will meet at some point, I hope. If there's something you could say to younger the younger people out there that are contemplating the military, contemplating our way of life, that potentially going through something hard in their life, what words of wisdom and advice at the age that you're at now and everything you've gone through, and looking back at that age, now that you're at this age, like what could you impart on them? Some closing wisdom to our youngins out there that want to walk down this path.
I would say this life is what you make of it, right? So if you have goals and you have ideals and you have dreams, no one is going to make it happen but you. And what I mean by that is, like, we have a saying, like, no one is coming, right? Remember, Jay? Like,
I do.
No one's coming. You got to figure it the fuck out on your own.
Alone and unafraid.
You're alone and you're unafraid. Be unafraid in the face of adversity. Know and believe in your capabilities and just go for it. Prepare yourself, of course, for the thing that you're about to go into. But it's imperative, as any young man or woman out there, that you take the time and evaluate what you want, what's your desired end state, and then what is required of you to fucking initiate the dominoes towards that end state. And if military is one of those things, then just go for it. Like, don't second guess yourself. It's only 4 years out of your life, but that 4 years out of your life that you dedicate to something better and to becoming a part of a team towards a holistic solution is going to set it's going to set the stage within your life and the lives of those around you by way of your interaction to becoming what you desire to be. And if you don't take that chance, you'll be always wondering what you could have been if you would have had the gumption at this time, that time, whatever, to go for it. Go for it. You got nothing to lose. Whether you make it, you make it and you make it all the way to special operations, or if you end it as an administration clerk, it doesn't matter. You did your bit and you did something better. You worked for something greater than yourself. And I think it's important for any young man or woman to find that in themselves, to find what drives you, to find what is in the realm of possible by way of just initiative. Take the initiative towards the destiny that you desire. That's my advice.
I love it, man. Well fucking said.
That's awesome. Yeah, exactly. Well, it was awesome meeting you, Brian. This was awesome. We really appreciate your time, and I'm sure there's going to be a lot of great response to just your experience, and I'm looking forward to hearing what people think about this. Unique story, and you're just a very affable guy, very, very fun to talk to, and this was time well spent on my end.
Hey, compliments will get you everywhere, Pat. Absolutely. Well, hey, gentlemen, thank you so much for having me on and for indulging my stories. My stories have gotten more and more, less and less PC the more and more I drink. But, in the spirit of what we're doing here, I heard it was whiskey and stories. So here we are. That's right, man. Our channel is called Savage for a reason. So keep it 100. Yeah. Last thing I'll say is, like, never apologize for being a savage. Embrace what you are. Never make apologies for living the life that you were intended to live. And, do what you're going to do out of this life and be great at whatever it is. That's it. Amen, man. Amen.
This has been Savage Actual. Jason and Patrick are two former special operations guys who interview interesting guests who talk about video games, airsoft, and military subjects. Basically, they drink a lot of beer, talk about shooter games, and have fun. What's not to love? We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, and review. And the fellas will be back soon. But in the meantime, find them on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at Savage Actual. Y'all be cool, and we'll see you next time.